Hello.
Hi, Michaela.
Okay, so quick introduction for you, the one and only. I am beyond excited for today, and I'm going to read some notes because I don't want to mess it up. So, okay, I cannot honestly think of a better person to start this with. I was supposed to have a couple guests before you, but because of scheduling conflicts, you're my first one.
I
So we're
love
doing this. I know, it was like, no, everybody else has to wait because Deja has to be first.
it.
Okay, Deja is the epitome of happiness and joy. You radiate positivity. Like, here's the deal. Even if people don't want to have a good day around you, like, we are forced into being happy and being in a good mood because of you and your energy. And you're so amazing. You're one of the most infectious people. I think basically everybody says that. You just have this unmatched energy that's so amazing. Everyone miss Deja Riley. Deja Riley is a powerhouse, former professional dancer, turned fitness expert. You're focused on empowering diverse communities through a functional yet holistic approach. Absolutely beautiful what you do. So you've created your own brand, Deja Riley Athletics. Now, this aims to shift the industry narrative and create a safe, inclusive space for all people. Now, you don't worry about just looking better. You want to feel better, okay? And you're going to get into all this later, but I just got to tell everybody all the wonderful things you do first. So this is just like the beginning of your story because you are one of the most sought after Lululemon ambassadors. A big deal. You're the trainer on the mirror. Deja may have been in your home once in your life. You serve on an advisory board, inclusion, diversity, equity, action representative for Lululemon. That's amazing. You've been on billboards. You're getting ready to launch just the biggest campaign ever. No big deal. We'll hear all about that. Now, alongside with all of this, you developed your own workout method. You have your own little program, Sweaty Smile Club, which is just an amazing, amazing place, community for so many people that you've created. I mean, Puma, Reebok, Samsung, Under Armour, Fitbit, you name them, they want you. You're so amazing. You're on your way to becoming a household name. And you're going to make a lasting impact. I mean, you are. There's no choice but to make that lasting impact on the world. So that's it, Deja. I will let you talk now. I just wanted everyone to know how, because you won't say that about yourself. So I wanted everyone else to know. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited for you. I also want to give you your flowers too, because I think it's so amazing what you're starting here. I know this is the beginning of something truly great. You are one of the most empowering people in my life. And so it is just my absolute pleasure to be here and be your first guest on your podcast today. Thank you for the lovely introduction.
Of course, you deserve it all and more.
Thank you, babe. But now it's time to dive into some real conversation. Let's talk.
Let's do it. But first, I need. How do you normally enter a room? How do you normally start? I need it.
You need the real intro for all of the listeners out there, the viewers out there. Hello, beautiful people.
That's the one that I wanted. That's the one. And real quick, this is a short story, but I have to talk about it.
Yes.
So for anyone who's listening to this who doesn't know me, who maybe knows Deja or whatever, so I work as a morning radio co-host, right? So I've already done my morning show today. And I'm going to tell you, so we start I've been doing it for almost 7 years. We start every show the same way. We say, hello, what's going on? Let's get into it with a quick song. And we pick whatever song we want. And normally it's not like I have a top 40 radio show. It's not that. It's usually like a 70s song or, an old 90s song. So my co-host picked the song today. Do you know what it was?
I'm going to go ahead and take a guess. Was it No Diggity?
Yes. And in 7 years, that song, we have never played it in the morning. The irony, right? I literally got goosebumps and I was like, I might just have to leave. This is too much for me. There's too much going on. So anyways, I had to tell you that. This is just such a fun start to today. So,
I love that.
Okay, let's get in. Like you said, let's dive in. Let's walk me through your path of least expectance. Where did it start and where did it end? Make it kind of quick. We can dive in later, but we just need to know, like, why was your path so unexpected, right?
Yeah, I mean, okay, so just giving it to you from like day one. I grew up in Virginia Beach, Virginia. That is my hometown, even though I was born here in New York, which full circle moment. I'm going to bring you all the way back to New York.
Oh, always. It's always full circle.
It is. It really is. So I moved from New York at a very young age. I was like a toddler at the time, moved to Virginia Beach. I was raised there, grew up dancing, singing, acting, doing it all. Trained at the famous studio Denise Wall's Dance Energy, and that's where I started competition dance. Dance was always my first passion. I played several instruments, sang, did theater, did all of these other extracurricular activities, but ultimately dance had my heart, and I know what that feels
So that's
like.
how we connected. We connected back in
Yeah.
the day. So random how we've stayed. I mean, you're the only one I really feel like from that time that I've connected this strongly with, and I don't even know why. I don't know why our connection was
It
so
was meant
strong.
to be. It was
It
meant to be.
not even trying to be cheesy. It's one of those things. But okay, so that's how we connected dance. So that's how we know
Yes.
each other.
Yes. So from that beautiful competition world that prepared me for the professional world, I launched my career in LA, moved out to LA when I was like 18, 19, started out just auditioning and like getting my feet wet and getting a lot of no's, a lot of rejection, and then ultimately
Always.
becoming Lori Ann's assistant. That pretty much drove me into my professional career. She gave me my first, tour. She gave me my first celebrity performance job with Lady Gaga on Dancing with the Stars. And that was kind of like the catalyst to the remainder of my professional career. Since then, I have gotten the chance to dance with artists like J-Lo, Nicki Minaj, Beyonce, Britney Spears, Katy Perry. The list goes on and on and on.
Amazing. Absolutely
I had
wonderful.
an incredible dance career. I am so, so, so fortunate that I can say that. And then from dance, I transitioned into fitness because I felt like it was more of a sustainable career. I also was at the end of my 20s and really recognizing that, to live a whole life, to be a whole human, it's mind, body, and soul. And the physical aspect was never really an issue for me. I always kept my body moving. I always did things that fed my physical impulses, but it was having the complement of like that spiritual fulfillment and really taking care of my mental health that I really noticed there was like an imbalance. And so once I noticed that, I leaned deeper into that. That really took me out of that dance industry, that sort of toxic environment that I was in. I think I had a million blessings, but along with those million and one blessings that I had, I experienced some things that really, really tainted my spirit. And so from there, I made that transition into the fitness industry. I have been training and teaching and inspiring and motivating ever since. I am 6 years in the game, and
Okay,
from
6 years.
LA, yep, I moved back to the East Coast. We linked up because I actually bought a house in North Carolina, and shortly after buying the house, as this, wild universe throws things at us,
Right.
I received that curveball of getting this opportunity to work with Lululemon and Mirror, which brought me back here to New York, my full circle moment.
Awesome. So amazing. Okay, so let's talk about this. At the point in dance, because I feel like a lot of people listening kind of are in those in between points where something's pulling you, right? Or something isn't right. Maybe nothing's pulling you. Maybe you just know you don't feel good. Like you said, there was an imbalance, right?
Yeah.
So for you, was it okay, did something happen where you were like, okay, this is it. This is the journey I'm going to take? Or was it trial and error? Or what was the moment where you said, that's it, I'm going to leave dance for now and go to fitness? Like, what was that moment like for you?
Honestly, the moment was so clear. And I always say this to people, the body always knows, right?
Yes.
The body recognizes what's going on before, anything else ever does. Like before you realize it mentally, before you're ever able to like articulate what you're feeling, the body will tell you in some way. My aha moment, my moment of just realization was actually on the Super Bowl field when I was dancing for Beyonce. So I danced at Super Bowl 50. It was probably one of the most incredible and like biggest jobs of my life. And I'm literally standing like it's interesting because I'm like, there's like a metaphoric like aspect to it, but then there's also just this like very like real moment of like this was my life, and I'm having like a little bit of an out of body experience. But I'm like standing on the field, and like you already visually look like this small on the field, like
Right.
whether you're, you know, watching it from the stadium, anywhere in the stadium, or like you're watching it on TV, like everybody looks like tiny little Polly Pockets. But like on the inside, I was also feeling small. I was feeling insecure. I was feeling, you know, just not valued. I was feeling not celebrated. I was feeling just all of these feelings that kind of just sunk in all at once. And instead of really truly being able to appreciate and celebrate that moment, I was kind of pulled into the toxicity of like what the industry had presented all the way up to that point. And, you know, just these years and years of rejection, these years and years of me not listening to my body, because, you know, in so many ways, professional dancers throw their bodies around, right?
Yeah.
We are constantly throwing ourselves around in auditions that we're not getting paid for. We are throwing ourselves around in training that we're not getting paid for. We are throwing ourselves around in rehearsals and, you know, barely getting paid to, you know, show up, maybe. Right? And if you are, you're definitely getting like close to minimum wage, right?
And you're getting told most of the time you're not doing it good enough, you need to do it better, you're not doing it good enough, you need to, and that for me, that was why honestly, one of the reasons I kind of stepped away from the dance world when I did, because I thought it's either I continue this journey of like exactly what you said, getting told you're not good enough, which it's just the give and take. That's just the industry. There's nothing wrong with it necessarily. It's never going to change. But do you want to commit to that, or do you want to be better? You're so much more than a Polly Pocket on the football field. And you knew that. And that's so amazing that you were able to say, okay, what can I do that's more? And that's exactly what you did.
Yeah.
Or what you are doing, you know?
100%. And I'm so happy that I had a sense of awareness, and I really honestly was able to take the time to pause. And I had an incredible support system. You know, I had my family. I had who was now my husband, but he was my boyfriend at the time. But I had just like these incredible people around me that were constantly encouraging me and lifting me up and supporting me every step of the way, that like it was a lot easier to let go and a lot easier to move forward down my path, knowing that like that was not all that I had, right? It didn't define me. That moment, that industry, you know, that job really honestly did not define me. I was so much more than that, so much bigger than that. And I took that mentality and was like, whatever I pour myself into, I'm going to be great at it. Like I know, I feel that confident that like whatever I do next, I can apply those same, you know, preparation tools. I can apply that same level of dedication and commitment and focus and energy and turn that into something else. And so that's when I began to really make that transition and start to brainstorm what was next for me.
So I heard someone talking the other day about that moment. It was someone else's story about in their life when they were like, I need to make this change. And they started thinking and they said, who am I to say that God gave me this great blessing? She had a business that was phenomenal. It was thriving, but she knew it wasn't right and she knew she needed to move on. She said, who am I to say that God won't bless me with another amazing opportunity? I just have to trust the process. Like, how dare I say, well, he can't do it again. He gave me one. He gave me, I'm on the field with Beyonce. This won't happen again. I'm sorry. Do we make the rules? Or, you know what I mean? So I think acknowledging that and being okay with that and knowing that it's going to be uncomfortable and it's going to be not easy and it's going to be really maybe bad for a little bit to know that it can be so much better on the other side.
Absolutely. And it is. I am living proof. Mm-hmm. So it is definitely so much better on the other side. I think it's better because I love myself more. It's better because I take care of myself more. And it's better because I believe in myself even more, especially after going through, you know, such a turbulent transition like that. Like, you know, we build our identities on our gifts and our talents oftentimes as entertainers. And so for me, like I so closely identified with who Deja Riley was attached to being a dancer, right? So like really going through that almost like surgery of like
the separation. Yes. And it happens, and you probably will have to do it again later in life. I was just telling this to somebody. You know, it's like we do that. We connect to things and then we just can't imagine breaking it off. But when we break it off, that is when, you know, the realization happens that, okay, I'm free. Let's keep moving, you know?
Yeah.
But that gives such a good leadway into, so you start brainstorming. Is this where Deja Riley Athletics comes to be? Or
Absolutely.
yes. Okay, so tell us a little bit about your mission just as a whole with the Deja Riley Athletics, because what you are doing is so needed in this world and is so necessary. So tell us about Deja Riley Athletics.
Yes. So how this baby of mine was born, really honestly, like I started out in the fitness industry with my own personal trainer. Like fitness was something that I did to complement my, dance career. So it was like I was working out, once or twice a week with my trainer to maintain my body so that I'd be prepared for stage and be prepared for, just all of the obstacles of being a dancer. And I started actually talking with my personal trainer and I was like, yeah, like I think I'm making that transition out of dance. I'm not really sure what I want to do next, but like, I feel like I love working out. Like, I don't know that I necessarily want to become a trainer, but like, I love working out. And so we started like, just kind of like talking, laughing, like sharing pieces of our stories together. And I came up with this idea that like maybe I would do some fitness modeling because I love to take pictures. If anybody has ever seen like my social media, like I love photography.
You're so fabulous. I mean, it's amazing.
It's so fun though.
It is.
It's like I get to like show my personality like in an image, and like I always just really enjoy that relationship between like photographer and like the actual like model or like muse. And my husband like does photography for fun. So it brings me a lot of joy. So I was like, maybe I want to go into maybe some like fitness modeling, And from there, I kind of just started like taking photos and just like posting them, but like also just, I was still trying to like figure out what that next move was.
So having the conversations.
Like, yeah.
They're so important.
And just honestly being open really to like what opportunities can come. And so like I went from like the next couple of months, I was kind of just floating. I worked at a dance store. I, took random like odd jobs and things like that, like just doing like one-off things with my friends. I did some extra work. I honestly was just trying to like stay afloat and like make ends meet, but also stay really open to the endless possibilities that can come. And in the meantime, I'm like taking tons of photos and really just like starting to like put myself out there. So I ended up doing a few like photo shoots with some major brands like Under Armour. I did like, a few one-off gigs, and I really still kept my dance agent, but they were just sending me out on less dance jobs and sending me out for more like, ads and campaigns and things like that. So that started to bubble, but I was like, I don't really know if this is enough for me. Like I'm seeking something more. And when you put it out there in the universe, you start to manifest things, you start to really write things down.
People can call me woo-woo all they want. But I'm telling you, if you are not manifesting what you want, start right now. Like go outside and shout it, whatever you want, because I cannot tell you how many times, of course you pray about it, you work for it, but if you know what you want and where you're going, or like if you know the direction, you have to know what it is. Maybe you do, and maybe, but it is so important, because if you don't put it in the universe and you don't believe it, nobody will. Nobody.
It's so true. It's so true. So yes, I encourage you alongside Michaela, shout it out, write it down, tell a friend. I really can't emphasize that enough, because that was honestly one of the most powerful tools in my journey. I ended up going to a birthday party for one of my agents, and one of my dance friends was there. She's like, hey, like I know somebody who is opening a boxing studio and they're looking for instructors. And I was like, I mean, I love the sport of boxing. I watch it, but I've never put on a pair of gloves, and I have no idea. Like I would not know the first thing about boxing. And
but I can learn.
I'm always open to learn.
Right.
Open.
Yeah.
Season of yes for me. But I was like, you know what? Like, she's like, you're in luck, because they're actually just looking for people that are rhythmic. And I was like, now that is something that I got in my toolbox. Yep.
Got it.
Very rhythmic. So I was like, okay, great. Like I've got rhythm. I am open to learn. I'm a sponge.
I look real cute in the outfit, so count me in.
Listen.
I look the part.
I brought, all the tools that I had, and honestly took this meeting with like no idea of what to expect. It went very well. It was like a phone interview meeting, and then they invited me to their space. They had like a sort of like a garage space. They were starting out like, just experimenting with the programming for this particular style of workout. And I went and I took a class, and I just brought my energy and brought my joy. And honestly, like, I didn't know what I was doing, and I have no idea what I looked like punching that bag, but I got the job. And they were like,
a video.
I honestly
somebody's got to have a video.
Maybe someone out there does, and if they do, please send it to me, because honestly, I'm
sure booked it.
Comedy.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they loved it. Like, they loved the energy that I was bringing. I started training right away, and from there, that's where I started my group fitness journey, and I became a cardio boxing instructor at a studio. And to be honest with you, I had the greatest like imposter syndrome at the moment, because I was like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm teaching a room full of people that is coming, and they trust me, and they believe that I know what I'm doing. So like, I've got to believe in myself, and I think that that's where I started to really build myself up from the ground up, from all those broken pieces that had been broken down because of the dance industry. I really started to like piece myself together, and really started to develop this sense of confidence that has brought me to the point that I'm at today. So like, that was really where my athletic abilities were really put to the test. But like, from that journey, I found that spark that made me want to start my own business. And so as soon as I left that studio, I actually started Deja Riley Athletics. And it was really built around this workout method that I created that mixed dance and boxing in just rhythmic fashion to like the beat of the music. And it just was something that made me feel good. I got to put all the elements of what I feel like makes an excellent workout and what really truly brings me joy into one thing. And I created this method. I got my LLC, and I was like, I'm starting a business, and I really don't even know what this business is going to be, but like, I want to start something. I want people to know that fitness doesn't have to be a one size fits all format. You do not have to be shoved into a box to be able to meet your goals and to be able to fulfill yourself and be, healthy, mind, body, and spirit. And so that's really where it started. And yeah, it's been a journey ever since that point.
So going back quickly to where you said you were in that space where you were so uncomfortable and you were so imposter syndrome, and you were thinking, who am I? What am I doing? I'm doing it the right way. People are coming. But it's in that uncomfortable spot. And I've heard you say this before, that it's where the pressure makes the diamond, right?
Yes. Oh, yes.
So, I mean, that is just such a pivotal moment, I feel like, where people can say, maybe you're in it right now, like not you personally, but if someone's listening and you're saying, I am so uncomfortable, but I know I'm in the right place. I left everything behind. I'm so uncomfortable. When is it going to happen? Well, honey, that pressure has to build before you can make that diamond. So stick with it. If you know it's right, stick with it. It'll happen. Have the conversations. Networking is so old school, but it works. It is so, you just talk to people. Talk to people on the bus. Talk to people on the street, order your coffee and talk. I mean, I have had so many conversations that have turned into life-changing opportunities. People forget that. So easy.
It's so true. And I mean, honestly, like, it can be, especially in the day and time that we're living in with social media, where, there's a competitive aspect of like, I have got to one up myself or one up, the people that I'm around, or, so it's really, really hard to like stay focused and really commit to whatever that thing is. But I promise you, consistency and commitment is the key to actually building like a huge brand, or building a business, or, building up yourself even. It's like, you've got to take those small moments each and every day and really apply that pressure.
Tunnel vision.
Yeah.
Tunnel vision, because other people are going to do things and you're like, well, that's easier than what I'm doing. Maybe I should just do that. Tunnel vision. Who cares? It's their highlight reel. No. Tunnel vision.
So true. And everything is not always what it seems. what it looks like on the outside might not really be what it feels like on the inside. So check it
Right.
out.
Okay, so let's talk about, so you do Deja Riley Athletics, right? So then you start doing different branches. You're doing Do It With Deja, which is the workout, right?
Yes.
Okay, and then you have the Sweaty Smile Club, right?
Yes.
Squad, Sweaty Smile
Squad. Yes.
Squad.
Get that alliteration in there.
Now, talk a little bit about this, because I know you've said before, I've heard you say something else that I really loved that I've heard you say, and you might have to correct me, but something along the lines of, if either you can work for someone else and help them build their dream, or you can do it yourself. Something along those lines, right?
Yes. So I feel like, and this is a motto that I've heard from other people, from mentors that I've had. It's like, you can build up your dream, or somebody will hire you to build up theirs.
There
right?
it is. That's the one.
And I honestly am a firm believer of that. I feel like, and I do a little bit of both with my business. Honestly.
Right. It's okay to do that. But if you know you want the alternative, then just know those are the options.
Yes, yes. And as I'm building my business simultaneously, like, I'm helping other people build their businesses, but I'm learning from each of those experiences. Each brand that I partner with, I learn a little something from. Each, person that I encounter along the way, every mentor that I've ever had, I learn something from, pull it back into the business that I'm building.
Right. And so what I was going to say with that is, with your the squad and the workouts and everything, you were saying you were in LA and you were doing fitness, and you were going to these boutique fitness places, and you're like, wow, this is great, I can go wherever I want. And then you had that moment where you're like, you know what, I can do this, but there are so many people just like me, say, walk and talk and breathe and love, and they don't have this. And so that's where you started to really, your mission, I feel like I'll call it your mission. Tell us a little bit about that, because I think that's one of the things that makes you so beautiful, is you have all this talent and you have all this ability, and you're like, no, I'm not going to use it for my good. I'm going to go out there and use it for someone else's good, because that's just who you are, right? So tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there are a ton of just mantras and thoughts that I live by, but I think at the core of it all, I want to continue to cultivate joy, right? And me putting joy out into the world, it also always comes back. It's very cyclical, right? I put it out into the world, I receive it in some sort of way. My community really has been built on that. I named it the Sweaty Smile Squad because it's all about cultivating joy while you're doing something that you might not normally enjoy, right? I feel like oftentimes for people, fitness is such a chore, right? It's something that you have to. Right? Dragging.
I have to go.
Don't really want to get up. Don't really want to get into it, right? But I grew up doing something that was athletic, that was really honestly a form of fitness that I loved. And so I never felt like it was, hard work. I never felt like it was something that was a drag, or anything that felt like it was unenjoyable, or like, so I really had that sense of joy from the very beginning. That was like the core of everything that I was doing. And so in my fitness journey and in leading people to health and wellness, I have used at the core of that, like, that can very much so exist for anybody. You've just got to go out and seek the things that you love. And so my first, I think, core statement that I make to everyone is, start where you are, use what you have, do what you can, right? It's an Arthur Ashe quote.
One more time.
I live by it. Start where you are, use what you have, do what you can. And so when I started creating my YouTube workouts, and I really started out with Pop Sugar, who I was a Dance Fit Sugar host for 2 years, and did a ton of workouts with them, led them, hosted them, got to do some events and things like that with them. But my idea was like, I'm putting out workouts that are free for people, right? Mm-hmm. Pop Sugar's platform, free. My platform, free, like putting them out on YouTube, because I want people to be able to discover or try something new without feeling like they have, the burden of finances, or the burden of not having the right tools. Like, a lot of my workouts are body weights. So you don't have to have additional equipment. You don't have to, go out there and purchase things that you might not ever use again if you don't like the workout. It's really a great way for you to dip your toes into a genre that you might not have ever done before and really decide if you like it before you go out there and invest, in a gym membership or invest in, classes or subscriptions.
But
So
also you make people fall in love with it because you give them the joyful positive side of it. Do you know what I mean? Like
yeah,
people are experiencing you and they're like, "Okay, so maybe I've tried fitness before, but this is different and I need to find more of this because this is what makes me alive, you know?"
absolutely, absolutely. And I think that, of course, I tell my clients and I tell my community, if you're looking to get certain results, there are going to be things that you have to do in order to get those results. But if you're really just looking to lead a happier and healthier life, you can really go out there and do anything. I mean,
Yeah.
like I could list them off. You can go outside and take a walk in nature. You can do Pilates. You can do yoga. You can dance, box, kickboxing, do Tai Chi. There's so many
Put
elements.
on your favorite song and dance. Like it's that
Yes.
easy. But it's so necessary. I think there's so much in the world right now that no matter who you are, where you are, it can be terrible. And so to know you have a quick outlet like that, which you're preaching and you're sharing with people, is just so important.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not hard. It's so important, you
It's
know?
true. It's so true. It's so true. And I think, we oftentimes have to take off those limits that we set on ourselves because I think most of it is usually a mental block when you won't get into it. It's like your mind telling you, like, oh, like, I don't have enough time, or, oh, like, it's going to be too hard. Well, you'll never know if you don't try. And I say to my community all the time, ain't nothing to it but to do it. You just got to go ahead and try. And,
You gotta do it.
every expert, every champion, every major athlete was once a beginner. And so you have to know that, like, you've got something to start with. I emphasize too, for other people who are like, listen, like, I might have had past injuries or I have disabilities. Like, I always say in my classes as well, ain't no shame in the modifying game. If you need to do
Yes.
a hair workout, if you need to do a workout that is upper body only, if you need
Step
to do
clap.
a workout,
Step clap with me. Let's go.
step and clap it out all day,
Yes.
every day.
But that's
You
so
know?
that's so universal what you just said to just everybody's a beginner, everybody starts somewhere. Just do what you can do, what you have. That's not just fitness, that's your whole life. Like if anything comes up where you're like, I want to do this, then do it. Start with what you have and grow. Everyone's a beginner. Go research. We have so much accessibility right now. For example, I'm starting this podcast, right? I had no idea how to do it. I'm good at talking. I know how to record, but that was about it. You can Google it. You can Google anything. I've learned. I didn't even know. I'm like, how to change audio. Boom, bam. I mean, anything you want, you can do it. We're in an age where we have the accessibility and use it, you know?
100%. Use your resources. 100%. So that goes back to that idea of starting where you are, using what you have to.
Yes.
We can all start somewhere.
So how did you fall into the lap of Mirror and then Lululemon? Tell us this, because this is so, like, this is global. I mean, this is big, Deja.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I am a part of one of the most amazing and impactful teams that I've ever been a part of. I really, truly believe in their mission and their vision. Beyond product, they care about people.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I knew there was an instant connection with me and this brand. So Lululemon is the parent company of Mirror. They acquired Mirror in the summer of 2020. So they just had their second birthday of joining forces. But I'm going on a year and a half with the company, and Lululemon and I started our relationship back in, I believe this was 2018. I taught some classes at their sweat series in Santa Monica, California. And they were just in-store classes. I got to, do my own workout method. That's why I brought Dance Out of the Box and Deja Riley Athletics. And I taught a few classes in their sweat series during the summer. And from there, really honestly, and this goes back to them, really amplifying and caring first about people more than product, they maintained a relationship. Like people would, see me come into the store and like strike up a conversation, like remember my face, remember my name, come and take my class when I was teaching at various studios, drop me a pair of leggings here and there. But honestly,
hey.
like, the relationship was built over time. And I thought that that was such a beautiful thing. And it blossomed into 2020, them reaching out and, you know, kind of starting to softly start a conversation about potential ambassadorship. And I became a global ambassador top of 2021. We had, you know, some conversations that just kind of grew, and really like we got to know each other. Like it wasn't like a, hey, here's a business deal, here's the contract, like let's go into negotiations. It was like,
get
hey,
into rehearsal, let's go.
Right. Could you imagine?
Yes. Yeah.
But
I
we
can.
we know how that goes, you know?
Yeah.
But no, it wasn't that. It was really like I felt like I was making a new friend, right? They were really interested in what I was doing. I, in turn, was also interested in what they were doing. We really got to know at the core what our values and our beliefs were, and our shared common interests. And, you know, I would say about 4 or 5 months later, we started, you know, deeper conversations about potential ambassadorship. And from there, I came on as a global ambassador, and they actually, during that time that we were, you know, just having soft conversations, they sent me a mirror. And so I was a consumer first of the mirror, and I was taking all of these incredible instructors' classes, and they are now my colleagues, my coworkers, my friends, which is such an amazing full circle story. But I actually was turning on the mirror just like my community at home, and really just diving deep into all of these different genres. And I found that what I loved most was that it also embodied this idea of fitness and wellness not being a one size all format.
Right.
And there's something for everybody on the mirror. I mean, we have an endless number of genres, but we also have, you know, teachers that have different styles and have, you know, different levels of experience in the industry, and really people who care about others. And so I really honestly dove at the chance to be a part of a team like that after becoming a global ambassador. And shortly after that, I would say it was about a month and a half after I signed as a global ambassador for Lululemon, that I became also a mirror trainer.
Amazing. Yeah. And so what you were just saying is so important when you said, now I'm going to have a brain fart. When you were saying, so I feel like the older I'm getting, the more mature I'm able, and I think, you know, we're both at the exact same age. We're early 30s, right? So, sorry, I told your age on, but whatever.
Okay.
We're proud.
We're proud. 34, baby, and I'm
proud.
So proud of it.
We've never been better.
No.
Only the beginning. But I feel like as I'm getting older, these opportunities that come along, like for you with Lululemon in the mirror, you didn't jump. Like if we were earlier, which is natural, and you know, I don't know what's to say is the right age to say take every opportunity or to wait and not, but you kind of know. And I think that's the beauty of becoming more mature and doing things and trying everything, that you can say, okay, this is lining up in my life. These people are my friends. I feel good when I'm around them. I see opportunity. You know, by giving yourself that, you don't have to say yes to everything. Now, like I said, there is a time where you do kind of have to try everything. But that being said, never sacrifice who you are, that's the hard part when you're younger. You want to sacrifice because you're like, I just want to be a part. I just want to do something. I just want to make something happen. But I mean, I think that's the beauty of getting older, is we can make these mature choices of saying, I'm in line. And that's why it worked out for you, because it was so in line, and you vetted it for a little bit. It's like a boyfriend, you know, you kind of dated him for a little bit. You weren't committing. And then all of a sudden you're like, this is it. I'm in, you know?
Yes, so true. And by the way, you know that my brain like thinks in like music and, you know, just movement and stuff. So I have to ask you, because you said try everything. Have Lux and Luca watched Zootopia?
I don't know. The boys, I have 2 boys. I don't know if they've watched. I know we've seen it on TV, but I haven't watched it. Maybe they've watched it.
So I'm going to say watch it. And then also make sure that you watch through the credits, because one of my favorite songs, it's called Try Everything, and it's by Shakira. And it honestly will just light you up. It's going to charge up everything inside of you.
Okay, let me write my homework down. Zootopia, Try Everything, Shakira. Done. Yes. I got it. I can handle that. I can handle it. So tell me a little bit about the idea committee that you're on.
Yes. Oh, amazing. So honestly, It's transforming into something new because Lululemon is the parent company of Mirror. Some of the efforts of Lululemon and like what they've built is trickling down into Mirror, and Mirror is like kind of creating their own version of it. One of those things being IDEA. And I sat on the ambassador advisory board for IDEA, which is inclusion, diversity, equity, and taking action. And it was honestly one of the most transformative experiences that I had. I sat on the board for a full year, my first full year of being an ambassador. And I got to join hands with other ambassadors and other, professionals within the Lululemon fold, and just hear their lived experiences and really honestly understand where they were coming from. I got to hear about their communities. These are people from all over the world. We had ambassadors that were coming at us from Australia and Hong Kong, and then here in the States and in Canada. And we were all sitting down and having conversations about how to be inclusive, how to pull our communities in and really have them represented fairly and have their voices heard. And I go back to continuously saying that Lululemon is a brand that puts people before product, because they do, and the proof is in the pudding. Like, me being able to sit on a board like this and then be able to take that information and the education that I received back to my own community, and really then being able to be representation for them in those spaces and ask the questions that, they might have, and really honestly be a leader. I think that as a dancer, we are often told to like fall to the background and not use our voices. And so this was a beautiful transition for me because, to date, I have always been using my body. And then coming into the fitness industry, I got to complement the movement of my body with my voice. And now, like, full circle, I'm really getting to use my voice even more than using my body. And that ultimately feels like the perfect chapter for me in this stage of my life. I think that, it is so important that we have people that not only look like us, but people that can speak up for us, that are, in these different high positions. And I'm so grateful to be in the position that I'm in. I think that, being able to be on a leadership board like that, and then being able to also do that, in my place of work, is truly, honestly, one of the greatest gifts that I've received. And so I'm super happy to be doing the work that I'm doing now. That has full circle come back to Deja Riley Athletics, and I'm able to extend charitable efforts through Lululemon for that. So last year, I was actually able to give a grant to my home studio, my dance studio back home, and to their organization and foundation that Denise built. And it was able to give scholarships back to the kids. So it was like another moment where I'm like, wow, like I really get to dig my hands into my community and reach back and pull forward. And yeah, honestly, again, one of the most incredible gifts that I could have ever been given.
Well, and you're so young and you're so influential. And I feel like we don't often see that when we're looking at mentors. We look at people who are older and we're like, well, when I get older, I can do a charity and I can have a board and I could sit on a board, or I could, have a nonprofit. But it's the work you're doing now. You're like you're not just like talking the talk, you're walking the walk. And that's what I love about you. And other people see you do it no matter where they are in their life, and they're like, I can be a part of change. Where is my heart? Where do I need to see change? Where do I feel that there needs to be something that's happening? And I think that's so great how you are such a leader for that. Do you know John Hope Bryant at all? Do you know who he is at all?
Not familiar. No.
He's a leader. He does financial people. He has this crazy story. He was like 9 years old, homeless, in Compton, ended up going to the bank, finding out, he's in his 50s, I think. So he ended up going back. This is in the like library days, had to go research what finance was, decided to be an entrepreneur, has taught finance to people who didn't have opportunities to learn from here on out. And he's an amazing man. But he was talking about, I pulled this aside because I remembered listening to him say this, and I thought it was so important for the work you're doing. He says, we're not human beings. We're spiritual beings. We are having a human experience. So the connection is everything. We see people, but we don't just see them for like their physical being. We see them for their spiritual being. And if we can just get that out, it would be such a shift and dynamic, because people need to be seen, actually seen. And what you're doing is allowing for people to, and all you're doing is teaching them a workout class, a free workout class. And you're bringing, I mean, you are just so powerful. And I just feel like more people need to, I don't know if more people just think that they can't make the impact. I'm not good enough. I'm not great enough. I don't have enough experience. But I think that your leadership is just so amazing to give people that jumping off point where, you know what, Deja can do it. I'm going to try and do it. It might not be great right away, but maybe it will be one day,
I mean, the most beautiful thing that we can understand things through is like our surroundings, our environment, right? And I look at the ocean, right? And I'm like, I'm a water baby, by the way, Pisces.
100%.
And so I'm so connected to the water. And I look at the ocean and I'm like, it's so massive, right? But like when you put your feet into the water, those little ripples around you is what you feel. Like that's that sort of fluidity. That's that like, either crisp and warm feeling that you get on your feet, or like that freezing cold wherever you are in the world. But like in that moment, those little ripples are what affect you, right? Those little waves, or like, the rushing of the tide, that's what affects you. And that's what's in your plain view. But if you look beyond that, there's a whole ocean out there. And we, as a collective, as humanity, we are that huge ocean, right? But it doesn't mean that those little ripples and that tide and like the seaweed and the little fish, they don't matter, right? Because that is what makes up the ocean. We would not see this larger picture if all of those tiny little things weren't happening, and those tiny little, pieces of life weren't there. So I always just encourage people to know that, like, yes, when you look at the greater picture, it does look so massive. But in order to have that greater picture, in order to be able to see all of that, all of the tiny little details matter too. And so never think you're too small. Never think that you don't have what it takes, you don't have enough. Never think that you can't make an impact. Because right where you are, if it's just one person, and even if that one person is yourself, you're making an impact, right?
Right. You're making yourself better. And that's where it starts. If you're not great, if you don't love you, if you don't believe in you, nobody will. So, you've got to start there.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're doing all of these phenomenal things, and let's talk about this. So you moved to Wilmington, which is where I live, randomly. I hear from a friend, Deja Riley is moving to Wilmington. I'm like, skirt? Like Virginia Beach to LA, Deja Riley? I thought she was doing like all these things. And they said, yeah, she's buying a house and moving to Wilmington. So we connect. As we connect, I think the day we met for coffee, you're like, yeah, by the way, I think I'm going back to New York because I think I'm going to do the mirror Lululemon. I was like, what? Yeah. So, but so you, and this is kind of a girl talk thing, more for women here, but you're at a point where you want something different. You want, not different, but you want something more. You want to have a baby. You guys want to grow your family. You're ready to move on. And so the world keeps telling you not yet. And that's so hard, right? So what's your advice for people who are in maybe the same struggle, whether it's maybe they want a relationship, maybe they want a husband, maybe they want a wife, maybe they want, a child, maybe they want maybe a new job, but for these transitional points in your life, how do you show up for yourself when it's really, really hard? Like, what are you doing? Like, what's your advice? I mean, you don't have all the answers, but what are some of the things what are the tactics that you apply?
Absolutely. I mean, honestly, I'm speaking from a real place right now. And I just keep telling myself I have to take it one day at a time. Like, what are the things that I can do today that my future self will thank me for? What are the tools that I can use today that are going to help me push through or get to tomorrow? I think that, it can be quite overwhelming. I'm a goal-oriented person. Mm-hmm. So like for me, I'm like, I put something on paper and I like start to carve out an outline or a plan to get to from A to Z. And then I just start to execute. Like I've always just had that mentality and that way of thinking. And it can be tough with things that are beyond our control, i.e. fertility. So for me, like I've just been telling myself, just take it one day at a time. Like it's going to happen. I'm holding on to hope and knowing that like I'm taking small steps to do the right things for my body, to cultivate this home for a future human. And, I have had my points along the way where I failed, and I've had those tough times where I just like needed to cry it out. But I think those are the important times that I develop new resources, or I hold on to the resources that I already have. And like, for me, that's like therapy, I have various methods of self-care, and I really, really make sure that I am doing those on a weekly basis, if not a daily basis. I am making sure that I'm reading and I'm, meditating, and I'm taking time for myself to just be with myself. I am married, so I live with my husband and my dog, and it's just as important for me to continue to cultivate and build our marriage and our family. But at the same time, like, I can't be a great partner if I'm not great first to myself.
Right.
And
Yes.
just as you touched on earlier in our conversation, it's very, very, very important that we pour into ourselves. It's like, if you don't first believe in yourself, if you don't first love yourself, if you don't first have faith in yourself, we can't expect that from others, and we can't be that for others. So yeah, I think what I hold on to most is just taking it one day at a time. Sometimes it's one moment at a time. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, if I can just stay present in this moment, if I can get all that I can get out of this moment and lock in here and stay focused, I can make it to that next moment. The time is going to pass on its own, as it always does. But I am just making sure that I'm taking care of myself, that I'm loving on myself, and I'm taking it one step at a time.
I know it's so frustrating. You've not reached that path yet. Like, we're on this path of least expectance, right? So you're on a
Yeah.
path that's not the path you want to be on. And it's so difficult and it's so out of control. But I'm learning so much lately about nothing is ever in my control. Really, like, I can control like who I am, what I'm doing, how I'm taking care of myself, but that
Yeah.
control is what is meant to be in your life is going to be beautiful. It is. You just have to trust the process, which is so
I
so
know. I
frustrating.
know.
Like, I don't want
It
to do
is.
that. I don't want it. I this is what I would like, and I would like it on my where in my calendar where I wrote it in my goals. I would
Yep.
like for it to happen on that date. And but that, I think, is just the beauty of when you do start accomplishing so many amazing things like you, and that moment to look back and to say, remember that time we were in having coffee and you're telling me how your next step is a family, and really your next step was just basically taking over this global campaign at Lululemon. I mean, it's so ironic, these things that, so many people, like, you have to sit back and think, okay, I am doing something. Personally, for you, you're doing the Lululemon. I mean, just phenomenal, out of this world. And people listening, whatever you're doing right now, you're probably succeeding and you're probably doing really great. Maybe you're not, and that's fine because you're in that transition, but maybe you are, right? And then you're saying, okay, but this isn't what I want. Okay, so it's like that point that has to get you from A to B. And I love looking back and connecting the dots and saying, so for me, I was an entertainer. And then I opened a business. I went to design school. I opened a business. And then I ended up on the radio. And I'm like, what? If you had told me I was going to be on the radio, but like you said, it's that my life, and you connect these dots. And if I was entertaining for all these years, it led me to this. And now the radio is leading me to other opportunities and
Yeah.
entrepreneurship. I sold my business and now I have another entrepreneurial. You've got to just sit back and be okay with how your life is going to play out.
Yes. Yes. And honestly, like, yeah, I mean, even when you just said it to me, I'm like, yeah, go back to that coffee shop conversation. And if I would have told you what my next move was going to be, I would not have included this. But I also am like, I wouldn't give this up for the world.
No, big,
This
yeah, and
is incredible.
it's not fitting in your time, which is the hardest part, but just, I think everyone to sit and realize how good we may have it, and we will get there. It's going to
Yeah.
happen. You are going to be a mama like you are. And if not, I'll gladly ship you one of mine. No, I'm just kidding. But you are going to
I'll
it's going
take
to
them both.
happen.
I'll take them
It's going to
both.
happen, and it's going to be so beautiful. But you know what? You've got more to accomplish right now. Like, that's just not in your path yet.
Yeah.
And that is definitely the hardest. I mean, that's never going to stop. We're always going to have things that we want that is not the right time. But
Yeah.
I think what you said really is great. I mean, just keep working on you. I mean, because
Yeah.
the best version of you is going to show up when the time is right, and watch out. Like, I mean, I just got chills thinking about it. Like, if everyone was just working on a better version of themselves for when that right time came, you could just jump on it.
Yeah.
Wow.
And all of the things, it's all a journey, all of the beautiful things that you learn along the way. It's like, yeah, maybe the timing isn't right according to me, but the timing actually is right, because
Has to
all
be.
of the things that I needed to learn before I got there are happening in real time. And so it's just like, if you can be present in those moments, you can really absorb the lessons. Otherwise, you miss them. and they go straight over your head. So it's like, I want to keep my eyes wide open. I want to keep my heart wide open to learn everything that I need to learn, so that one day I will pour that into another little human, and, they will get the best of me instead of, little bits of me, or like that unprepared version of me,
Right.
you know?
Right.
Yeah.
And I think, as women especially, we're so torn on, you and I, we love to work. We love to do something and to be someone outside of motherhood. Some women, that's their life, and motherhood is their end all be all, and that's beautiful, because I can't I motherhood is my favorite thing in the world, but I could not only do that. Some women are made for it. I was not.
Yeah.
So I think that that's hard, because we're torn, because like for me, I'm on the opposite end of you. We're literally like this. So I was working, and then I gave it all up to be a mom. Now I have dreams and aspirations after they're older, but I think you couldn't have given up your opportunity right now. You could not have given that up. And so as women, we have to say, okay, and I've talked with moms about this, like, this is my time right now to be a mom, right? I'm not going to get it back. Them being little and, doing all the little things they do, I'm not getting this time back. Unfortunately, I will cry if I talk too much, so we're going to move on. But you know what? Like, it's okay, because this is my time. And when it's done, then I'm going to have time for me again, and I can do things along the way. I can make myself better. I can do jobs and have fun and learn and grow. But like, this is such a special time. And, I think, oh, hi, how you doing?
You got a little furry friend.
But I think it's just so great. And for all moms or all women who want to, how am I going to juggle both work and motherhood? It really, you've just got to like let it go. And you've just got to say, this is my moment. This is where I am. And I will have me again. I'll be Michaela again. I'll be me, not a mom all the time again. But for now, you just got to embrace it. And maybe that experience isn't motherhood for someone. Maybe you're in school and you're like, I don't want to be in school. I want to be pursuing my career. I want to be a doctor right now. I want to be in surgery. I don't want to be in school anymore. But you'll have that time, and then you'll miss the educational part, and you'll miss not having the pressure, So I really do think, going back again, we keep touching on this point, but just being okay with where you are. And that is honestly a practice, to sit down every day and say, I'm thankful. I'm showing my gratitude. Because I say it with a smile on my face, like it's easy. It's like the hardest thing in the world.
It's definitely not easy.
No.
But it is something that we consciously have to be intentional about. And we do need to be intentional with embracing where we are. We do need to be intentional with loving on ourselves for where we are. And it's constant work. But it's beautiful work.
It is beautiful. So we're getting ready to see you launch this global campaign, right? So can we talk about that at all, or?
We can.
Tell me. I want to know where we can see you.
This episode is out. This date might have passed, but
no, that's right. It's probably.
Yeah, this Tuesday, the launch of the Charge Feel Lululemon shoe, their second style of shoe. They actually have come out with the Bliss Feel, which was a running shoe, and then the Rest Feel, which was like a shoe to complement all of their active shoes, which is a slide. And the Charge Feel is a training shoe. It's the shoe that is always on, a shoe that you can wake up in the morning and run your errands in, and then step into a workout class, and then go get happy hour drinks after with your friends, and maybe like go for dinner and dancing to close out.
I love it.
So it is definitely a shoe that you can dress up, dress down. And what I love is that, Lululemon is definitely always an innovator in their space. And they are the first brand that has created an all women's shoe line with women in mind first. No men's shoe is out yet. There's a men's slide out, but sorry, men, you have to wait for your active footwear until next year, because it's all about the women this year. We, as a company, actually got feedback from various different women from all over, took imprints of their feet, actually asked them how they felt in the shoe. They went back to the drawing board, reconstructed things, reshaped things. And this shoe literally feels like you're walking on clouds. It is comfortable. It is fashionable. It is breathable. I love it because I also got to contribute my own feedback for this shoe, and let them know what I thought of the shoe while creating the campaign. And, you know, really honestly, it is like the mid and the low. So it's two different shoes. The mid shoe is like made for me. Like, I feel like it is not only a shoe that I would choose for like a boxing or like a dance class or something, but it also is, it goes with like the style that I have, and it like makes me feel good. And the color palette, oh my gosh.
And we all know you have to look, you have to look good to feel good, right? If you're going to go to a workout class, if you're not looking good, if you're not going on your run with your cute new shoes on, I mean, it's so true though. It's so silly, but it's so true.
It is silly, but listen, this is just who we are. We're like, listen, I need a cute shoe.
We're embracing it. Yes.
Yes. So yeah, so I am the face of this campaign. I was the hero of the campaign. We shot a commercial and all of these still images. And right now in the Soho store, there's like this huge, it is like floor to ceiling, like image.
Deja. It's a Florida. I need to see you in front of it. I haven't seen that picture yet.
Oh yes, I'm gonna send it to you. I'm gonna send it to you as soon as we get off the call, because it just went up last week, and it looks amazing.
How amazing, Deja! I mean, you're just amazing. You really are. I know you won't say anything, but you are. This is such an accomplishment. Wow.
Thank you. Honestly, the most meaningful part of this campaign is the fact that they chose me. I mean, when I talk about this experience, I, you know, can't shy away from the idea that like, I've got braids. I'm a Black girl. I've got tattoos all over my hands. You know, I am not necessarily what would be the obvious choice, but here I am, you know, on this billboard. Here I am, like, representing this, you know, global brand, you know, that has so many years in this industry and has really already made their footprint. And they are allowing me to come on board and be a representative for my community, for other Black women, and really honestly for those people that feel like they're not the obvious choice, they're not the, you know, the palatable choice. I think that, you know, they have empowered me in that way, and I'm on a mission to empower others in that way too.
And you do. I mean, you really do. And that's going back to that whole thing with, you know, maybe you as a human being physically is not but you as a spiritual being is the perfect choice. And we all can do whatever we want. I mean, physically, nothing should ever limit us. How we visually look should never limit us in any opportunity. And I don't know who made that rule up, but like, come on, we got it. She done. She gone. Like, we're done.
No, it's
we're done.
Wake up.
But we need people like you to preach it and preach it and preach it until like we just don't need to preach it anymore, because unfortunately we do. We have to stay diligent with that, you know? I mean, it's silly, but it's necessary.
Yeah. 100%.
Okay, so tell me this. You're the queen of quotes, right? Leave us with we've gotten a couple quotes today, but do you have one maybe that you've been using lately or that comes to mind? Like, leave us with a quote, a good one.
Okay, a really good one. Oh, this is good. Okay, so it's a newer tattoo that I have.
Oh, yes.
I read it in Daring Greatly, a Brene Brown book that I absolutely love.
Yes.
And it says, strong back, soft front, wild heart. And, you know, for me, I think that I can really stand in this quote and the meaning of this mantra now, but I wasn't always able to. I think that, you know, I didn't always have such a strong backbone that I was able to speak up for myself. I didn't always approach situations vulnerably and authentically and with all of myself. And I will say that I have almost always had a wild heart and always been a risk taker. But I think with those three elements going hand in hand, it truly makes me the best version of myself. And it also puts me on this position of always growing and always growing in the direction of like those goals and hopes and dreams and visions that I have. And it's something that empowered me. So I also tattooed them.
That is beautiful, and it's so crazy that you say that, because you know in the another movie, Happy Feet, it's their heart song, right? And I tell people all the time, I'm like, your heart is your heart. You said I've always had a wild heart. Of course you have. You're born with your heart. Your heart is your lifeline. It's what makes you alive, right? So I think that we all have the heart that we've always had. It's taking that heart and finding how to get it out of our body, protect it. But how do we take our heart and make it what it needs to be? How do we like unleash it to the world? And I think that's the work of life is finding how to do that with your wild heart, right? So
100%. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So listen, you guys, you need more of Deja. You of course are going to see her all over billboards. If you go to a Lululemon store, you can be on the website. Yes. Yes. Okay. So, but here's the other deal. You need to go do some of her workouts. She's amazing. I can tell you during the pandemic, which was such a vital time for that, by the way. I went on and did a couple of your workouts, and I would wake up the next morning like, how am I so sore? I just stood outside. I had no weights. I was like singing and dancing and like shaking my booty, and I'm like, I can't move. Like the way you do the boxing and everything within the workouts, and it's so fun. It's accessible. It's free. So I will link you guys up to everything. But do you want to give a quick? DejaRiley.com, right?
Yeah. Go to DejaRiley.com for all things. You can find me on all my social platforms. You can join the community either on Facebook or Instagram, Sweaty Smile Squad. Honestly, like if you are a human, you are welcome. Honestly, animals welcome too, you know? Be part of it. Anybody who wants to find community and find a sense of, a place of belonging and really honestly jump into whatever that journey is supposed to look like for them in fitness and wellness, you are welcome to join our community.
Well, I just love you, Deja, and this is so amazing this time to kick off this podcast with this. Like, I don't know how we're going to continue to go up, but so thanks for doing that. Thanks for keeping the bar real high for me. I appreciate it. Thank you so much, and have a great day, Deja.
Thank you. You too, babe.
Mwah.